with me. And once again, we are going live immediately with the pistol round. So Bach, take it away.
Will be CLG starting on the T side, as this is their selection. No knife rounds here. That's why the teams are killing themselves in console, in case you're curious. And it looks like early on they're going to be moving towards the stairs, where Nifty is positioned to try and launch the cross. No damage dealt, but at least he knows what to expect in the round. He's going to fall back, and he has support coming. It's going to be Azza, who's moving into this A bomb site as well, backed by the APC. So they're going to have to play a little bit more passively, as it is Counter Logic Gaming moving up long A, leaping past the planters. They're just dedicating themselves to this one. As it peeks out, he's got a multitude of players in front of him, but he can't connect with any of them at all, despite the fact that he had great positioning. He falls in the site, and now it's been compromised, but look at this. The end around here is Ethan's got the backstab on the player who's already on the stairs, and all he has to do is hold his ground. Usil is going to walk right into the crosshair. Nexa is there with the immediate trade out, but FNS and Cutler are left trying to get this one back in their favor, and Cutler will do what he can, getting a kill from the bank stairs. He's got one pushing towards him. Nifty meets his demise, and now it's just JKS who's on the hunt for Cutler, and it doesn't even matter. Cutler finishes off the 3K in a fantastic pistol round for CLG, and that's devastating if your Renegades really wanted to get things going here on your CT side.
Yeah, so CLG get themselves right off to the hot start again, carrying things over from Mirage, and they're immediately going to reinvest here into the second round. The Renegades, of course, buying in their own regard. And they pretty much just force up entirely on everyone except for Nifty there. So Deagle, CZs, and whatnot, along with the armor vibes on everyone, like I said before, except for Nifty. And we'll see how well they are able to hold it with this minimalist buy. And CLG, well, taking a look at them, they've already gone up for 1 AK on Color, but the other 4 are still working with SMGs. Fast out from long. There is going to be resistance here coming in from the CTs, but at the moment, it's not faring so well. He did manage to sneak in a kill against Cutler, but so far that's been the only one. Nifty's still alive inside of the bathroom connector, but still, he's going to be hightailing it out of here and falling back to the site in hopes of staying alive, or at the very least just holding a better position to try and impact for some kills in a few seconds.
Nifty's around the corner, hiding in the cubby, past the divider wall. FNS right around the corner, and that's the straight to the face, as FNS gets the kill in the end. Nexa and JKS looking to spill some blood here, just trying to get some money if possible. It's JKS who's behind the dice box in sight with the CZ75. Good shooting on Dakusta, but CZ75 betrays him in its fight against Rike. So it will be just Nexa, the Serbian player, with the Deagle in hand, and no more kills for Renegades here, as it is a 2-0 start here for CLG. Now, we've talked about how rarely we see Renegades play this. They have played it 8 times since 2015. Yikes.
Yeah, it's been, oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Like, going back to ESWC 2015, 8 times. And that's like different rosters, different players. It doesn't matter. This team, the brand of Renegades, has played this map 8 times in that long.
It has, needless to say, not been a map which they've ever really identified with. And for CLG, I mean, granted, this is with the old roster, but this is a map that they've always loved to play, especially in international events back when they had, like, Terrica on the squad. Obviously, a very, very different team nowadays, but I imagine at least some of that has carried over since they still have FNS at the helm once again, so some of the scratch at the very least is still kind of carrying over. For the most part, it's worked a lot of times, although this round, Renegades are actually getting a whole lot more done than I would have expected. Even those 2 kills is somewhat phenomenal there. But CLG still very much shut it down, and we end up 3-0 to start, as expected, after the pistol round victory. Now, the Renegades do go for their big investment, and immediately they've got the op on the board for Nifty.
That's no surprise there, going straight into the AWP and putting it in Nifty's hands. No op for CLG yet, just rocking AKs across the board, just bringing in what they brought in. Not worried about spending too much money to upgrade to that rifle, and it looks like they are going to be going deady towards B very fast as well. A lot of players already moving into the Monster Canal. No real wavering with this plan. This is the idea. We want to go towards B. We're going to go towards B. Nade in does so much damage. Jesus. Ethan and Cutler both dropped right around 50 HP. Even FNS gets tagged down low. Cutler, though, with the entry kill onto Nexa, who is playing Toxic Barrels. JKS does trade out, doing a little bit of damage on top of what Nexa had started with that nade. But look at this. The fall off. Despite the fact that they got in, they're going to just back off. I'm kind of curious what the play is here from CLG, because they got into the site, made it to the canal, and then just decided, we don't want the canal. You guys can have it back. It's yours. 1-for-1 trade that totally favors Renegades right now, as Cutler and FNS took damage on the push into that B site.
Well, after they do end up trading 1-for-1, CLG are going to swing their way up through those upper tunnels, working their way inside of the playground here to try and probably just swing out towards long. They need to start moving a little bit quicker, though. 45 seconds left, and they're still going to have a bit of a slower pace of this because of the fact they need to check, you know, like behind the tree, inside of the bathroom connector, behind the flower box, behind the APC to make sure they don't get jump spotted by Nifty, all these things, and they're not leaving themselves with a whole lot of time to be able to do that. They can't really, you know, afford to keep things hidden anymore. They just have to go for this and hope for the best in terms of an open site. Thankfully for them, Ustillo is out of the site right now, but they will still have to watch for that, and that's going to open up basically a free flank for them in these next few moments. And Nifty does not even decide to challenge it. He is going right back down and wraps over to the dumpster position instead to try and challenge it from there, and it works out perfectly. Hits the first kill, hits the second kill. No one from CLG is even trying to counter him out right now. He's getting away with murder. Ustillo up on top, and then Nifty shuts down the last player from behind, as it's absolutely flawless from the Renegades and holding that one. The only mistake they make there is letting CLG get away with the plant.
So, still such an interesting execute. You know, I understand that like they basically baited out the little bit of utility that Renegades had in that push towards B, and then rededicated themselves towards A. They could have just stayed B. There's no reason why they have to run all the way back towards A. In fact, if they stay B, they don't lose as much clock rotating around the entire map. So that's the part of it that makes it interesting. It's one thing if you want to try and bait utility out and re-execute. That's understandable. But what made it interesting was the decision to traverse the entire map that round and go the longest possible route towards A, taking long A instead of going up mid bathrooms. So CLG put themselves in a spot where they had to charge the site. They didn't really have too much time left, and they couldn't handle Nifty's position at all. He got 2 kills. It's all he really needed to do. Ustillo is still at mid bathrooms. He rounds the bend from the dice box, and they close things out. So CLG dropped that first buy round from Renegades, but they've still got another one back behind it. That bomb plant's certainly going to help. Nice pop flash here as Ustillo is boosted up on the other end of the divider wall, but Ethan didn't see him. The rest of his team is over towards long, with the exception of Rike, who's working in from connector.
Still maybe a little bit more spread out here as time does get lower, but it's definitely looking like CLG are going to try to line up for a faster execution this time. It's just short A is going to be such a hot spot here. As you can see, they still have the boost up between Ustillo and Nifty. And CLG definitely is going to have some presence in that route here. As we can already see, the boost up works out for one. Ethan trying to trade it, but he can't hit the kills enough. It only brings Nifty down to about 35 HP. After that, everyone else on the CT side gets away scot-free. That's going to kill the long A plans, at least for right now. They're still trying to lean into it, but they no longer feel confident to peek out for this anymore. So it seems like at least for a few of these guys, they're pushed further back towards the connector, but I don't really think they have time to try and swing this back down towards B. They've got to go into the site. So really just trying to delay it for a little bit longer here. Hopefully a few of the Renegades players rotate back down, but they're seeing Stalwart. Absolutely no one moving in. In fact, they're getting even more aggressive. Ustillo moving out. Finds himself another kill for his team now. Nifty strikes into the op. That takes down Kusta. And then Azar and Nifty close out. No one from the Renegades goes down at all. And it's another nearly flawless round for them.
At this point, if you're CLG, you're just going to be buying up pistols and trying to take something fast, potentially. Maybe just trying to overwhelm that B site. Try and beat the utility to the punch. Try and get there before the mollies go down. We'll see what they decide to do, though. It does look like they're leaning towards A a bit more. Currently heading up and putting a lot of bodies in connector, as well as at the stairs, already moving towards fountain. Looks like they're going to maybe split towards mid. They have Ustillo backing off from that position. Nifty as well, but there's a molly down at the bottom of the stairs that kind of separates the players and prevents what was likely the intended play, a pinch on the players at mid bathrooms. So they're going to go for it anyway, but just going to do it a little bit late. Ethan does great damage initially as Ustillo gets dinked, but it doesn't matter. He sticks around and picks up 2. He's actually going to get some help from Nifty as well, also getting 2 on the op as it chimes in with the final frag. So just like that, the kills just pile up for Renegades. CLG don't really do much of anything, and it's back to AKs yet again for them.
Yeah, so back into the buy for CLG, but now we have to hope they can find a little bit more consistency, or at the very least find a faster way to entry onto the site. It's been their big issue. They've loved to run down the timer in these plays, but every time they've done it, they've just been utterly destroyed due to the Renegades having some really decent setups here. This time, it is looking like they're going a little bit more directly to set up towards B. However, it's not just straight through Monster into the site. And look, it's another boost up from them. Azar gets a double kill with it as well and makes it out alive. Still survives the encounter with 8 HP. He's going to fall back upside. That's almost the round right there. Like, he's still the 3 guys stacked at Monster, but the Renegades should be able to somewhat read into this. As you can see, everyone's falling back to the A site, and I imagine they're going to send at least 1 or 2 of those guys downstairs.
CLG, yet again, hamstrung by the aggression by Renegades, just caught off guard by the early kills that piled up for Azza from the connector. Kusta is in water. He's on the railing. It looks like he wants to boost FNS over. That's actually going to be FNS who goes on the low end of the totem pole. Kusta now getting vision into the site. It's a nice entry from Ricky, though. Kusta's still in position here on Catwalk, but Ricky's so low on HP. He's got JKS strung out behind the pole. Azza's in sight as well. He's low on HP. Oh, it's a team nade! Nifty puts one right into Azza's lap and gives the round control back to CLG. It's going to be a 3-on-2 instead of a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3. That's brutal. And it allows CLG to get the bomb down, and the retake is significantly hurt because of it. Ustillo up on high, Nifty moving in from Graffiti. The counter utility being thrown out by the T side is perfect as it keeps Ustillo fully blind trying to work his way in, and now he's alone and he's low on HP. That nade from Nifty totally wins the round for CLG as they had no idea that Azza was still in position on the site. He could have dropped into pit and been a serious thorn in their side when it came to time to plant the bomb, but instead it's going to be CLG's round to take.
That's a round where CLG had almost no business winning out that one. Very impressive that they are able to spin that back around after the double boost up, and the kills from Azure just utterly destroy CLG at the beginning and kills their opening plans, but they somehow were able to rally it back and come out on top. So very well played from them to make that happen, and very unfortunate that Renegades have a huge slip-up that almost hands them the round on a silver platter. It's not going to break these CTs just yet, though, because thankfully the 3 rounds they did win were relatively clean. Amongst those 3 rounds, they only lost 2 players, and both were in the first round. So they still have cash flow, and even after this one, they may be able to, on a few players at the very least, go for a bit of a half buy. So they're not going to be completely knocked out of this one. They'll still keep a pretty strong economy, but now for CLG, they have a great chance to get back in and take great control of their own map. So we'll have to see if they can follow that through this time on another gun round.
Sitting back on connector right now as the nade blows up the door is going to be Nifty, watching with an eagle eye, trying to make up for that previous round. Man, you really can't overemphasize how important that team kill was, because that kill that dropped Nifty came from pit, the position that Azza was working towards. So it just shows you how things could have spiraled from that one mistake. Even if it wasn't a full misthrow, he only had 8 HP. It was just enough to tilt the tables in favor of CLG. Renegades now still working with rifles, still with the op. And they've got an op on the other end as well. It'll be Kusta. They're moving towards long A with a couple of players working in from mid as well. They've got somebody up boosted. I can't see who it is. I believe that would be Ricky? No, maybe not. It looked like someone was boosted, but Ricky's across the map. The dots on my radar are just screwed up as there's 2 dots on top of Ethan right now for whatever reason. Cutler and company grouping up on long. Azza right on the other side of the smoke in the site. There's a man mid-bathrooms. It's Ustillo, and he starts opening fire from his AK. He's now going to fall back to the truck as it appears that CLG is gearing up for the execute.
Yeah. And again, leaving themselves with not a whole lot of time to actually accomplish it, so they will begin to move themselves towards it. Azure ready to hold from behind the dice box, but it's only a 1-for-1 to trade it back out. Rotates and quickly moving their way back up to the CT side, and again, another 1-for-1 trade out. Still keeps this fight even. Ethan moving through, though, picks up one, a missed stop shot, keeps him alive for a little bit longer here, and in fact, he pushes through again. Not able to kill Nifty just yet, but still holding a strong position, keeping Nifty out of the bomb site. He himself, though, low at 15 HP. Can't go past Semi any further, so he's trying to look for other options to swing in here. Hits that kill on FNS. That's a big one and follows it through to hit up on Ethan. Now just leaves Ricky alive, but he does have this planted for himself. He's going to be aggressive, though, out into the open, but he kills the operator immediately. Now can bail back inside of the bathroom, just barely escapes. He does not have to be this aggressive about it, but he's doing it anyway. Keeps trying to peek out, baiting out shots, keeping JKS off the defuse. He's wasted enough time now. JKS is going to try to push forward, just wants the kill, wants the bonus money from that, and he's going to succeed in getting it. Now he's going to run, though. Has to escape the bomb explosion, and he does indeed do that, so he will save the op, but the round itself is going into CLG's hand.
That little shake he was doing to the right was to put the barrel outside from the wall. So every time he turned to the right, he was trying to put the barrel out so it looked like he was going to peek. So it was good movement from Ricky to just make it look like he was going to peek. Well played, honestly. Like, that's a really tough 1-versus-1. He's so low on HP. He knows he can't bait the planner, or the defuser for that matter. So he has to do whatever he can to make him think he's going for it. So he's just so low on health that at that point he's just trying to do what he can, and he played it wonderfully. There really wasn't much that JKS could do. It was an excellent retake from Nifty. It all started with his op. I mean, just some unreal shots. It didn't look like it was going to be that easy for Renegades to get back in there, but it was because of him. Now, though, look at the aggression coming in from Renegades. Ustillo is pushed up aggressively over towards the party area. He's got some help from long as well. That's as it goes down after picking up a kill, and so does Ustillo. So it brings us back down to a 3-on-3. So some early kills piling up, but still at even strength with 1:10 left on the round.
Some good tapping work from Ricky downstairs. In the meantime, though, he is able to catch Nexa from way back behind the chain link fence, while Nexa himself was sitting back on Monster. That'll force the rotation from JKS, and he's now going to be the solo defender of this site, but he's going passively inside a pit, finds himself in a first successful battle against Ricky. Just 2 more to go now, as it's been evened out for a second time. Just holding, waiting to see and trying to delay this plant for as long as possible, and he's done it. But the other issue is that he has smoked himself off for his teammate to be able to spot anything over top of those smokes. So it's giving CLG a little bit of room to work with too. And they go right past the safe plant position, trying to wrap in and box out JKS. They succeed. Now it's all down on Nifty, but Ethan walks back into that molly, so scratch that. It's down to another 1v1. 30 seconds to plant the bomb. Cutler's going to have plenty of time. There's really no worry about that. Goes to the safe plant spot, and Nifty, in the meanwhile, flank his way down behind the CT wall. Got the op ready to go. May just take a shot at this one, but actually finds him in the open. And indeed, Nifty will shut it down, keeping this game close. We're going to go 4-5.
Not knowing where that op had moved to, he puts the smoke down, tries to back off down the ramp, but it's Nifty again who's there in time. It's only 1 kill on the round for Nifty, but it's all about that impact, as it's a 1 versus 1 that he clutches out, and it gives Renegades more of a fighting chance in this half. It's feeling a lot like that first half on Mirage, where we saw Renegades getting off to a great start, picking up a few rounds. And even though it settled down to a 9-6, that was a good half for Renegades, all things considered. CLG is in the same spot. Like, yeah, you know, some of these rounds aren't pretty, but they're putting them up on the board. So they're at 5. They get 1 or 2 more. Even if it takes them a while to do it, at least they've gotten to that point. If they get 7 rounds, that's a really great half for Overpass. So here they're just going to be working with these pistols to go towards B as fast as they possibly can. Ethan's already made it up to the toxic barrels. The smoke goes down, sends a shot out. The player who was in the corner actually bailed. As it gets peeked through the smoke, Ethan's going to try and trade positions, and he does. Nice shot through the smoke right to Nex's head. Can they get the bomb down? That's going to be the ultimate question. It seems like it's going to be so. Nifty's the last man standing. Just like that, CLG have gotten full control of B, and they've got the man advantage as well. Nifty, though, from Catwalk, peeks out and spots Ricky, who tries to dodge the shot. And yet again, Ricky is in another situation where he can be the clutch god for Renegades. FNS has no clue what's going on with Ricky or with Nifty's positioning, so he's got to play this one slow. He's got to try and figure this one out, and I think Nifty just spotted FNS trying to make it across.
FNS didn't see him, though. I actually don't think Nifty saw him right now. Otherwise, I feel like he'd be looking a little bit more towards down at Monster, where FNS actually crossed towards. So at the moment, FNS is winning this battle. This all essentially comes down to if Nifty checks his flank, because FNS is going to complete this in a few seconds here. As he moves up, at the moment, Nifty does check for it, but the shot's a leg, so FNS comes out on top and wins the round just barely for CLG. Oh, and the dirty teabag there, too.
1 lump or 2. My God. You know, you're watching that when you're like biting your nails, like, is he going to get there in time? Would it have made more sense for him to then take that bomb and walk up Graffiti and go towards A? There's so many decisions, like, you have to make on a moment's notice in your head. FNS, you know, he plays it well. He immediately decides to back off the site and goes down towards the canal. The problem is Nifty was just an inch away from being able to spot him on the cross with that op. Still, though, it's barely around for CLG. Nifty still hit an amazing shot to even, you know, connect on FNS, who was coming in on the flank, but he got the leg. It's unfortunate. It's going to be frustrating if you're Nifty. It's going to mean an eco round here for Renegades. They do force up a bit. Nexus on the ump. CZ 75s for 2 and Deagle for Ustillo. Nifty's the only one who full saves, being as he's the opera makes perfect sense. And they've stacked B right now, which means CLG, once they realize it, they're just going to go towards A, and we'll see what Renegades decides to do if that's going to be the case.
Well, with the Renegades all stacking over towards this site at the moment, probably not going to lead into too much success. The good news is, though, is that CLG are being a little bit loud up on top, so it may give Renegades a few moments to rotate over here. At the very least, Ustillo has taken an advantage upon that, and he has spotted the short A pressure. He needs to pay attention to long, too, as that is also a factor, but he's doing good work at that, making sure he keeps himself alive and just firing off a few shots every now and again to try and delay this. Ustillo, though, swinging into the open, is going to find himself dead on the ground, and JKS, nicely done, long-range control with the CZ, and Azur has some success, too, working his way in from a flank. Eliminates Ethan, making this round at the very least expensive for CLG, if not outright trying to upset. The nade and Galil combo is going to eliminate Azur, though, on the flank, and it just leaves Nexa and JKS in this fight, both of which being smoked off, but JKS has now expired. He can't find the headshot. There's one. He does pick off an additional player, and now Nexa is going to swing in, only down to a 1v1 as this is going to be, but FNS, once again, master of timing with his peaks, moves in and eliminates Nexa without even giving him a chance to clutch.
CLG, remember we were saying just a few more rounds, and that's all they needed to make this a really good half. Well, they've hit that total now, 7, and because of the way they broke Renegades after that 1-round victory, only 1 player survived round 9, so they had no money after that. It's a full save here, which means CLG will very likely have an 8th round, and they're going to have the round lead at half. You can see Renegades setting up right now for a triple stack with the USP, just hoping maybe they can get a kill early on. But again, it's a full-on B stack. Ricky is here trying to just see if they're going to get aggressive, but he's not really pushing around this. He's just letting his team slowly work their way up methodically towards the A bomb site. And at this point in time, Renegades realizes they're not here yet, so they're going to be going towards A. So it's a full-on USP pain train back towards the A site, all aboard as they try to make their way in towards CT spawn, wrapping up the stairs to jump up and to bank. But even once they get here, it's going to be a very hard-fought battle to even pick up a few kills.
I mean, at the very least, they have the numbers in their favor at this point in time. But now as they move back in, we have to see them try and shut this back down. At the moment, 2 for 2 so far on both sides of this one. But Nex is going to make it a 3rd as he moves in, now upgrading himself to an AK and the bomb on the ground. So CLG have to kind of put their foot on the brakes and slow things down a little bit so they can take note and recover off of this one. A good nade from FNS, though, re-equalizes the manpower for both teams. And Ricky is just going to try to swing out towards long. This isn't as risky anymore. They do have to obviously pay attention to the fact that both these players have scouted out additional gun power, but they don't have armor sitting behind it, so if they end up in just an open battle, more than likely CLG are still going to end up winning. As we see, though, that could change. JKS shutting out Ricky, and now he's just FNS life. He does get 1, but JKS, nice timing on his peak, does shut it down. So the Renegades, with a full save, upset against CLG, bringing the score back to a relatively even line at 5-7.
How do you recover from that one if you're CLG?
I don't know. There's no way you should lose that round.
How do you recover from that mentally? You know what? The problem is that they only went into the site initially with 2 players, so they basically were just like, here you go, here's 2, and they gave them up immediately. Yeah, they traded back, but they should have never lost those 2 players. They were just they were already kind of reserved to like, we'll just set up for the post plant now before they even took the site, knowing that it was an eco round, and that's kind of what put them in that position to begin with. Here's Nifty again, getting aggressive on short canal, pushing in water. It's 2 quick kills for him with his op. He's set up for another. As the flashbang comes in, his teammate's fully blind, running around with his hand over his eyes, trying to figure out what's going on. Molotov down as Nifty retreats. He's going to send one through the side of the wall. It actually looked like it was close there to FNS. But again, CLG at the man disadvantage, and with a little bit less firepower, they're going to fall off of B, and they're going to try and recommit somewhere else potentially.
Pushed out, and well, they have found themselves a couple of upgrades to work with here. And still having full armor for the rest of the team. There is still a chance. I don't think they're actually going to change up their actual, like the way they're hitting the site, though. They're not going to try to wrap towards A or anything like that. They're still going to go straight forward, probably through Monster. Just a little bit of a delay on it to try and win out in a duel versus the player Monster, and then have that act as their entry so they can push forward. But Nexa wins another 1v1, and we'll be able to eliminate one of the 3 remaining players here from CLG. So for Cutler and Ricky, they actually do fall back, but it's not necessarily to push out of this site. JKS trying to investigate from downstairs here, as I think he heard them moving back in. Sees the headshot, but a little of a flick, and now he goes down at the hands of Cutler, bringing this into a 2v3.
But just like that, it's a 2v2, though, and Nexa and Ricky are both low. So this could be a trade-out round here. It all comes down to this bomb plant. They're able to secure it behind the boxes. Good awareness from Ricky, as he was not really covered from Catwalk, and now they know where Ustilla was working in from, and he doesn't even have a kit. He's going to have to move a little bit faster than he would like to, trying to bait these players out, trying to spam things. Cutler and Ricky are playing this beautifully, doing exactly what they need to do, just set up in positions where there's no chance for him. So just like that, CLG bring it right on back, say, hell, you want to eco us? We're going to return the favor. And even though they spent a little bit more money in the round, it's still success for CLG. They get the 8th round they should have already had, and it will be Renegades back down to pistols yet again.
Yeah, CLG responds with their own eco. Theirs makes a little bit more sense, though, as they still had at least some money invested into it. The Renegades is, with a literal $0 investment, was a little bit more in the realm of fantasy. But anyway, getting back into the next buy, Renegades are trying to preserve some cash going into the final round. So as you can see, with the exception of Nexa, everyone is just going to be on upgraded pistols behind their armor. CLG proceeding slowly, though, because of what has happened in these previous few rounds. And there's good reason behind that, too. They have a double stack inside of the steps. Nifty already finding 1 kill. Azure looking for 1, but Ricky cutting them off at the flank. Does find himself the double kill. And even gets a 3rd one, too. Kusta with the 4th as Ustilla tries to push out from long. It just leaves JKS alive.
The money for Renegades is awful right now. I mean, that really stings. I mean, CZ75 armor is what he's got here. His next round isn't going to look that much different. They're only going to have like 2,000 per player. At least that kill pushes him a little bit further up. But even still, look at the money, the way it stacks up. 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 1,900, 1,950. Just a really frustrating way for that first half to end. So it could have been an 8-7 for Renegades. Could have been. But instead, we're looking at a potential 10-5 for Counterlogic Gaming. That's a huge swing. And it was already a very successful half for CLG. You got to be frustrated moving into that second half of your Renegades.
Yeah, absolutely, especially after having the opportunity to really swing it back into a relatively even scoreline, and now having that thrown away, the best you're going to be looking at is a 9-6, potentially another 10-5 in the favor of CLG. Well, CLG just stacks outside of Monster to start off this final round on the half, and they are being a little bit cautious to sort of hold themselves back before they try to move in for an execute here, and there's good reason behind that, because they have been pushed pretty aggressively by the Renegades in the past and have met quite a bad fate because of it. But look at this flank now, working its way in from Ustillo. No one checking for this at all right now. He can just walk right up, find himself some easy kills, possibly a knife. Come on, let's see it. Don't play the safe game. I want you to take some risks. All right, never mind. He does get the nice double kill, though, and almost gets a third before going down. That flank is massive. Nexa gets really aggressive pushing into it, but at the very least guarantees him another one-for-one trade. That's going to kill the opening plans from CLG, and now they're going to fall completely back, swinging up towards the playground.
Just two bodies in front of Renegades from somehow making this a 9-6. Surely this can't happen again. Back and forth these two teams go, trying to gain control of it. Nifty with the CC75 working just like that. It's a 9-6. All it takes is a pistol and some armor. Man, if you're Renegades, you're just looking back and you're going, maybe we should have just bought pistols. That whole half. A full eco and then a force buy at the end. Provide at least 6 rounds for Renegades. However, that was on the CT side of Overpass, a 10-5 map by all standards. So not a fantastic half for Renegades, but should have been way worse, all things considered. And could have been even worse had Renegades, or CLG for that matter, not fumbled a few rounds out of their grip. So 9-6, it's recoverable. I mean, it's not really that bad. If you're CLG, you're definitely happy, regardless of how that one went.
What was that? 3 ecos in the last 4 rounds or something like that?
It was 2 force buys and an eco, yeah. A full eco. Like, I can't stress that enough. USPs. No utility, no armor, not even a kit, just USPs.
It's insane. So that ends up being a little bit chaotic there at the end of the half, but still in the favor of CLG. However, once again, the Renegades have an easy chance to get themselves back into this map. All they have to do is win out that pistol and carry through on the next few rounds, and we have ourselves an even matchup. But if not, if CLG is the one that wins it out and they carry forward at the 12, then it's a rough path for CLG to have any chance of getting back into this game, let alone this set. More importantly, this tournament, as this is an elimination match for them. Only single elim brackets. So lose 1 set and you are out of the running for Cologne.
This round victory would be pivotal, man, that's not a word, pivotal for Renegades to bring this one back. Tied things up at 9 apiece. I mean, we're back on the same scoreline we saw in Mirage, 9-6, right off the half. You know, rounds that didn't really make sense as to why they happened. And a scoreline that probably could have been better or worse also happened. But we've seen pretty good success rates for CLG on their pistol rounds. See if they're going to have success here as well. Right now it does look like Renegades is pretty keen to work towards the B-bomb site. Ooh. Ethan and Kusta doubling up the toxic barrels. I like this play. Kusta's ducked down. Ethan's kind of the bait to try and pull them in on it.
Finesse almost got a headshot at the beginning of this round, too. They pushed for fast water control, and he got caught jumping there. But thankfully, the shots missed, and now as they move back in, as they're immediately taking down Ethan, they're still the second player to worry about, though, and Kusta and FNS both pick up kills, but the Renegades are still responding with just as much heat as they do move back in here. Finesse is in a pretty bad spot. He needs to back out of here, but that's going to leave Ricky in the open to defend himself. Still holds on, though, as he picks up 1 additional kill. FNS tries to go back in, but he can't find anything. Now Cutler's here to support, though. He drops in, eliminates Ustillo, just leaving JKS alive in a 1v2, but he's got both the remaining CTs extremely low. One-shotable, possibly, for each of them. As he tries to find these bullets, he does tag another one, but it's not actually the one shot I thought it was going to be. He's still alive, though. He's still at 64 HP. Just whittling down these CLG players one by one. There's the first kill. He's gotten a little bit lower, too, but he hits that last shot. Eliminates Ricky, and with that, the Renegades will indeed control the second half pistol with a 1v2 clutch from JKS.
I'm pretty sure that Cutler shot Ricky in the back there. At one point, I heard a bullet come from behind, and he only took a little bit of damage. I'm curious. CLG has the bomb down in pit, and they're just still taking straight up aim fights with him, just hoping they can win because they're so low on HP. There's that fear that the second you go into hiding, that's when he's going to strike you. You're going to get caught. So, Ricky comes down to having 3 bullets in his gun in that 1 versus 1. There really wasn't much you could do. JKS just played it perfectly, just using the pillar for cover, constantly taking shots with his Glock, knowing my magazine's a lot deeper than yours, so I can play this game a lot longer than you can. And he does it beautifully. Nice shooting from Rick A early on. Drops Nexa in connector. That's an ump gifted to the side of CLG. He's got to worry about going to the top of that ladder, though, as JKS is holding with an AK. Meanwhile, the rest of his team is working up long. So it's 4-on-4 right now with 1:15 left, as it does appear to be Renegades, at least for the moment, working towards long. JKS has backed off the ladder, so there's still flank potential here for Rick A. It all comes down to timing.
Timing indeed it will be, but at the moment, peak for FNS. He is going to find himself in the right position, hugging this corner. Now, how many kills can he get? Gets 1, can't trace very well into the second one, so that's the only one he's going to be able to pick on. What's even worse, Ethan, a little bit further back, does lose a little under half of his HP, but being spotted over there on the other side of the flower box does seem to be enough, at least to hold the Renegades back for right now. JKS is a good position, though. Should be able to take out Ricky without too much conflict. And with that kill, now just leaves the remaining 2 CTs highly split up. Kusta is going to miss the wrap from at least 2 of these guys going downstairs, but he could still find Ustillo here and at least give that intel away. They are wrapping back in. They awkwardly kind of stare at each other for a moment before open firing. And with that, they do indeed pick up the kill. So that's going to sell the rotate, send Ethan barreling back down. Kusta has the AK as well, so we can definitely fight this out, but JKS not even going to give Ethan a chance to get into the fight. They immediately knock him out of the play, and it just leaves Kusta alive in a 1v2.
He doesn't have much time to work with here either, so he looked like he wanted to go up cap, but the second that molly comes down, it seals the deal for Renegades, and CLG will be content to just save this AK and bring it into the next round. So decent damage, really, by CLG to drop that many players, bring it down to just 2 here. Kusta's even going to get himself up on the ledge. It's not an easy spot to get onto, but he does. And it's going to be hard to hunt him down, especially with both players working across the map. They're not even going towards him. So he'll be able to bring the AK in. He can drop that 5-7 for somebody. We'll see if Kusta can be that linchpin on the round. However, it's pistols that have been pretty successful for the last few. Like we said, we saw, 3 straight eco rounds in that first half? Not exactly, or no, it wasn't 3 straight. It was 2, pause, 1. So it was full save, force buy, and then 1 round got beaten, and then a force buy at the end that won out the last round for Renegades. So it's not out of the question to see these pistols successful here for CLG.
Well, CLG end up stacking downstairs towards B and just having Ricky defending the steps themselves with a measly little Zeus. We will see if he's able to find anyone with it, but at the moment, CLG are rolling the dice on this round, and it's not looking like they're going to end up coming out on top if things stay the way they are. The Renegades still trying to slowly kind of investigate towards short A. That at the very least might give it away to Ricky and allow for a few of them to rotate up and try to put up a fight, but ultimately, the round itself should still go by the way. And oh, the missed Zeus shot. That tells the death bells for Ricky there. There's not anything else he can do to defend himself. Just gets completely overwhelmed, and now that is an open path for the rest of the team to try and swing in towards A.
Kusta right now playing towards B with that AK. Not going to be in position to prevent this push. FNS will be at the dumpsters. Likely to get his corpse thrown into the dumpsters in just a moment. Just a USP by the truck. And he's got Ethan moving in from bank. Ethan just rounds the corner with that FAMAS. That was the gift brought in from the previous round. Somehow FNS finds one with his USP. So they've done good damage yet again here. Kusta's in position now behind the smoke. As a second one follows up, he might be able to find a crack in that one. Ethan's taking a lot of damage. He's falling off with that 5-7. Wants to trade positions with Kusta, who's got this AK and armor. And again, it comes down to just 2 here for the T side. JKS and Nexa looking around and wondering where the rest of their team has gone. And another kill for Kusta on the AK. The bomb is planted for JKS. They do not have a kit, but Kusta has a smoke, and he's going to throw it down right on the popular spot here. He's going to stick the bomb as well. That nade lands right on top of his head. He's praying that the pistols can stop him. Please, God, prevent him from getting too close. At this point, it doesn't matter. Kusta caps off the 3K, and there should be enough time here for the defuse. It's going to be close.
I think he's got it.
But it will be around here for CLG.
Yeah, he's got it. So there you go. CLG managed to steal that one away just before the Renegades were about to tie things up. And that, of course, allows them to keep in control. 10-8 will be the scoreline. But Renegades still had enough cash, so they are going to buy in once more. Renegade, or CLG, excuse me, though, are going to have themselves quite a big buy as they were getting ready to buy up in this next round regardless, as we see yet another eco upset rolling its way in there. CLG really had no business picking up that round. They do it again. And off of that, they're going to have themselves a whole lot more utility than they might have expected. I'm a little bit surprised they actually don't even get the op with that round being picked up there. But still, had to go for quite a few rebuys regardless, so costing them a little bit more money. And the Renegades, well, they'll proceed pretty quickly to the outside of Monster. In fact, all 5 players are hanging out there. And they're going to proceed straight into the site, too. Despite the smoke and everything else, they'll try to move back in. Ethan already shutting down one. Ricky with the second. It's an absolute slaughter. And the Renegades basically throw away a buy round.
If you're CLG, you're a little bit concerned about this round, though. The way these rounds have been going with the ecos, you got to be slightly concerned about the success rate that both teams have had. Renegades haven't spent anything yet, but I'm sure in just a moment they'll pick up a few pistols. They don't have a whole lot of cash to work with. They're actually content to work with Glocks. JKS is the only one to buy a pistol at all, and he buys a Deagle, and he's going to be out alone, solo, the Iron Man right now, working in towards water as the Molotov burns just on top. Explain that one, physics. He's managing to get past it, though, after it dissipates. He's just looking for the head peek from up on top of the plywood, hoping to catch someone jump peeking over the wall, but he's not going to spot it. Right now, it's Ricky who's actually on the plywood stack doing a different kind of jump peek. Now he's moving into a position where that would be possible, but JKS is already dead as Ethan pushed Monster and got him with the backstab on the AK.
The rest of Renegades are trying to slowly pinch their way up. Kusta getting pinched off himself, though, or at least almost. He's able to keep himself up and rolling, though, for these last 2 kills. And him and Ricky dominate the A-bomb site to push CLG up to a 12th round. Not only are they winning out these rounds in style now, but look at how quickly they stacked up their money. Kusto is sitting at 12K at the beginning of this round. He's going to be 10K post-buy. The other 4 can afford at least 1 full rebuy on their own, and probably another half-fire, at least another force-up after that as well. Just with 3 rounds won, they already have an extremely strong economy, and that is not good for the Renegades when they're already 4 rounds down. And CLG are just 4 rounds away from winning out the map and the set.
Pretty interesting the way that this game has progressed, but finally CLG can claim that they did not succumb to an eco. They didn't even suffer heavy casualties there. So that's boding well for them moving forward, because there's still a few matches to be played out today. Can't allow that kind of thing to happen once you get deeper in the bracket play. Still, though, they've got to concern themselves with just getting 4 more rounds. It's also all that separates them from Renegades tying up the scoreline, so this game is not over yet. Renegades working with AKs here. No op for either team. Limited utility for the T side. Down to just a couple of smokes and a flashbang. Still plenty in play for CLG. Multiple incendiaries, a smoke, and a lot of flashbangs as well. Renegades trying to get some control of mid bathrooms, moving up. They've got Cutler around the corner, who looks like he's standing on the trash bin. And then he's got Kusta right in the corner next to him. So both of these players watching the same area. Rick A jump peeking for long. And A push could be decimated by these 2 players in mid.
It's going to be tense indeed, but Mollies are doing a great job of at least holding back the Renegades for a few additional seconds here. They do need to move into the site now, though, as we're running into the same problem that CLG often had, which was the timing aspect of this one. They're not really going to leave themselves a whole lot of time to investigate and clear out the site. And Nifty seems to be leading the charge here. I think they know that Kus is sitting in the corner of this. They will try to check for that one. Doesn't get away with anything, but he does dink 1 player before going down. Cutler, in the meantime, finds himself a double kill. Not ready for more to push into him, though, so that will be Renegades getting control, at least of the T side of the dice box. And I think they'll be happy with that, just having Nexa lurk through on his own regard to hunt for additional kills. Trying to spray through, finds himself 1 pickup, but traded up by a finesse, and they're not even going to have enough time to plant. The time runs out, and we do end up with Ricky finding at least 1 kill post-timer, which leaves Azur and now Nexa, but Nexa saved, so he's good. But Azur will have no money to reinvest in this round.
So what they did was they charged the site and killed the planter. So they were sticking the plant with not enough time. So I don't know who got that last kill, but he was right behind the dice box planting the bomb, and somebody just charged in and said, you know, like, this is my round, Leroy Jenkins. And he kills the bomb planter and gives CLG the round based on that sole move. It was a gamble, but it was one that had to be made in order to guarantee success there, as it was pretty strong from Renegades up until that point. I'm actually just watching the VOD playback right now so I can see what it was. It was FNS. FNS killed Ustillo just before the bomb went down. Had he gotten that kill a second later, that's a bomb planted. It's a post plant. Instead, FNS wins the round single-handedly with 1 kill.
Well, Ricky finding himself a bit of an early bit of damage against himself there at the beginning of the round. Does not actually trade any of that back either, but they do spot the attempt at a play to get into the B side or at least take control of the sandbags. They're boosting up here to try and see over top of the wall, and it's Nexa on top with the AK, but at the moment, he's being denied vision of pretty much everything. The only thing you can really see is crosses to go up outside of the pit, but counters out the other boosts as they try to go for one behind the CT wall, and that bites back big. And it does allow Nexa to find that kill. The timing on it's perfect, too. Now more of them moving back in. The only kill they traded out so far has been from Ricky downstairs. He does find 2 for himself. The Nifty eliminates him, leaving this round overall into a 3v2. Both the CTs trying to work their way in from heaven, but alas, the utility being used. Well, CLG have themselves an open path to go into the site, but the problem is there's 3 players just sitting down below waiting for them. Cutler creeps forward maybe a little bit too much, but somehow stays alive. No one takes advantage of that and ends up headshotting him. It's Nifty that will punish Kusta when he tries to do the same exact thing, leaving this all to Cutler here now as he just tries to delay the plant for as long as possible. Just flashing to get himself out, but fails out on that attempt at the very last second. So now being left set against the 1v3. Really not going to be possible. And finally, Nexa will swing out to eliminate him and give the Renegades their 9th round.
Almost a big mistake from Renegades there. Everyone jumped into pit to get guns, and they threw the bomb over the railing. The problem is there was no one there to get it, so they couldn't plant. So they actually lost a lot of clock after throwing that bomb over the edge. It was about 30 seconds or so when the first molly came down on the bomb, and they had a second one as well. Had they just thrown them on top of the bomb, that round goes completely differently. I mean, Kusta also misses a shot that would have helped to make things a lot easier for himself, but still, Nifty here is going to miss the pop flash in mid as Ustillo and Azza looked like they wanted to go past that smoke that was down at the small stairs, but instead they're going to have to wait as it bounces off the top of the spire in the playground. So pretty good damage dealt to Kusta early on. He's down to just 12. He's got to be careful in this position as well, as it looks like he took some shots through the door potentially. Wants to recommit, wants to go for that peek yet again, and there it is. He connects onto Nexa, returns the favor, but meanwhile, Ricky has actually gotten a kill as well from Monster Canal, dropping JKS. So good damage dealt early on by Renegades, but 2 players heavily tagged up for CLG.
Still, though, advantage to CLG, and they are starting to sort of read into the situation and attempt to rotate their players appropriately. You can already see at least one is going to fall back from that B bomb set and shift in the other direction here, while still having both Finesse and Cutler at full HP up on the A bomb site. The Renegades, this is a must-win round. They lose out this one, they are going to find themselves reset, probably without the capability to really buy into it, too. The only people that are going to be able to do that would be Nexa and Ustillo. The other 3 are not going to have enough cash flow to be able to go for a full buy. FNS is spotted, though, on the jump up, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful, as he's probably going to be the first target on entry now. And he can't actually see past those dice boxes yet, but Cutler is going to be able to. He gets tagged through the semi, down to 20 HP. Now they're trying to push back in, but it's 2 kills for CLG to start it back off. Nifty misses the op shot. That's another one for FNS, and he even closes out with the final kill as well. Ends up with a 3K, and a nice play from the dice box to push CLG up to 14.
All in all, not a bad performance right now from Renegades, but not enough to get past CLG as of yet. They are just 2 rounds away from being eliminated here from the bracket play. CLG was able to take the first map. That was Renegade's pick, Mirage. And moving forward here, they look pretty good in that first half on Overpass as well. But Renegades has brought the heat just a little bit more in their second half. It's still been predominantly controlled by CLG, but these rounds haven't been easy. For the most part, CLG has had a difficult time in a lot of these situations. Kusta in mid bathrooms with that AWP. He hears some nade play towards mid, and he sees Nifty jump peeking. Now he spots a shot out from the wall as well. He's trying to deliver the fatal blow over the wall, the coup de grace, but he's not going to connect, as Nifty just decelerates below the wall before he can get there in time. Kusta now in position behind the dice box. He's lost his teammate on the site, so he's solo on A right now, where there's a couple of players working towards getting control of mid bathrooms. You can see 3 grouping up in that area. 1 more joining them now from long. Ustillo is in the same spot. There's only 1 player on B. It's JKS, and he's really just there to watch for the push. He hasn't spotted anything yet, but he could soon if he's not too overzealous. You can see Ricky and FNS both going towards the door. Uh-oh. Right into the trap, right into the snake pit. So many players around the corner. FNS, good trigger, discipline, but ultimately, Azza dives around the corner right into FNS' path. He thought that he was just going to go straight up catwalk and ignore that position, and now it's a clear call save. There's no reason for CLG to go for this.
Yeah, if they save these 2 guns, they should still be able to buy. It'll be a little bit dodgy, but I think they can make it in. Considering the advantage they have, though, it might not be the worst decision in the world to try and save, but it's kind of going to be either way. I think they're good enough to buy, though, so I don't really see any reason besides this advantage why they would try to save, just to make sure that everybody's like even and whatnot. But the round itself, again, escapes by the way of the Renegades. They're going to be able to push back up. And not looking like they're going to be too successful in hunting down either of these guns. Okay, never mind. Nifty pushes his way into the long, and apparently Ethan just is not ready for that one. So there goes one of the rifles. They bait out the op shot from Kusta. He's now trapped. The problem is, though, is that, you know, Nifty's the only one upstairs here actually trying to pressure these guys currently. But with the bomb timer still needing another second or two here to explode, it does give a few extra seconds for Azure to push back up. Try to drop this op, and they do indeed do that. So that's possibly going to kill the buy now, since some of these guys are sitting really, really low.
FNS is probably wishing he could get those 2 seconds back in the water where he stared at that first target and didn't shoot. He held off thinking, okay, there's going to be a few more players. Odds of him jumping towards me, limited. So he holds off. The second he sees Azza turn, he starts to open fire, but it's a strafe jumping target. And he just wins or loses the duel. That's all there is to it. So he wants those 2 seconds back, so maybe he gets that first kill. But realistically speaking, he still dies. There's still multiple players behind Azza ready for a trade. It's unlikely he gets away with anything more. So it's back to pistols here for CLG. Back to the basics. Kusta with the deagle and connector. And right now you can see it is Renegades setting up a little bit slower. They've gotten into water early, but they're just kind of feeling things out, looking for the first player. Nice flashbang in for Nifty. It's an easy shot, or flashbang in for Ethan for that matter. It's an easy shot onto Nifty with that deagle. And it'll give them the man advantage. Good damage Delta Nexa as well. He's dropped down to 39 HP. You still, though, is walking up water. They're realizing maybe this B site's a little easy to take, but they don't account for Ricky, who's in the site. FNS is in pit. Simultaneously, both players drop, and that'll be the B site in control of Renegades.
Renegades will now move in with the plant. I don't really see a situation where CLG can actually win this out, so their best hope is going to be to post up for exits. Cutler gets denied his heaven position to try and snipe from a little bit further back on the deagle. So the last two, as I said before, are posting up specifically for exits. Ethan inside of the steps, and Kusta trying to wrap back around towards T-spawn to cut them off if they exit through Monster. Not really a whole lot that Cutler can do, so he's more likely just going to end up posting up here, trying to find anyone that goes to the tunnels. But the round itself goes to the Renegades, and they end up 14-11 now, just 3 rounds away from tying this up. However, with that one save, we should anyway, go immediately into the next buy for CLG.
I mean, they survive with a rifle. That'll definitely help things moving forward. They have more than enough money here, and they can also afford an op if they want to buy one. But actually, Ricky goes straight to the rifle, not wanting to put the op in the hands of Kusta. Kusta's going to have to buy his own. He's on his own here. He can afford it, though. He already had armor, so he's going to go ahead and go with the op and a smoke. 2 kits in play as well. Decent bet of utility for CLG to lie back on. It's really not a bad buy round at all. But losing this one puts them in a really dire spot, as they would be now just down to a 2-round lead with an eco round incoming, cutting the lead to potentially 1. Things are getting a little dicey here for CLG. What looked like it was a guaranteed victory on map 2, all of a sudden not so guaranteed. Got to be careful. Can't keep giving up those early fights as they get 3-man setup over on B. FNS is playing on the wall in pit, and Ethan's on the other side. There's a smoke down right now covering that position. Ricky again regaining his spot. The king of pit on the other side, the Muck, as he hangs about. It's actually a 4th player rejoining them on B, so they've got a solid B defense. If Renegades goes towards this direction and they happen to go when Cutler is lurking between both bomb sites, it could be devastating for the T side.
Still going to remain bottled up for right now, though. No explosion from either team, as the Renegades still continue to run down the timer here on a very, very important gun round. CLG just slowly kind of been inching their way forward on the CT side up to 16 rounds, but they haven't been able to push it to a safe point just yet. There's still the potential for Renegades to get back into this map, steal it out of the hands of CLG, and take us to map number 3. And we're going to find out in just a second if that's going to happen, or if CLG will be able to hold nice control of this one. But taking a look at this now, with time once again getting very low, the defenses on B are looking a little bit disjointed right now, so that does leave some cause for worry. But again, the Renegades, at one point going to try and push their way back in. Nexa goes in towards upper here, and FNS finds himself one pickup from downstairs. JKS trades that, and now FNS is trapped. There's no way he's surviving any longer. That leaves him knocked out of the play into a 2v2 with 8 seconds left. Some confusion over who should go for the plant, but they saw Ricky going back over here inside of the CT cubby, and then he just wide peeks it anyway, despite the fact that there was just a shot taken at him. So now all that's left alive is Kusta here, trying to 1v2 this one up on side in heaven. I'll just attempt to leap back downstairs. And JKS absolutely should have heard that. As he creeps forward, though, JKS easily finds him, knocks him out. And that'll be the round going into the hands of the Renegades. 14-12. And another eco for CLG.
This has got to be frustrating if you're CLG. You're watching that score get closer and closer to a tie point. But eco rounds have been somewhat successful for both of these teams. So it's not necessarily a guarantee if you're Renegades. Still, all things considered, with the amount that we've seen Renegades bringing into the round versus what we've got from CLG, they should be able to close this one out. And I think both teams have learned from their mistakes early on where they let those eco rounds occur. And it is just one player with armor here on the CZ. That's going to be FNS. They set up for a double peek on long with FNS playing back behind the big rock, Cutler behind the tree. But look at Renegades. They haven't even really moved past connector and stairs. They've got players across the board who are just hanging back very far. Still is finally feeling comfortable peeking towards long now that he hasn't seen anything come out early. But with the amount of utility that Renegades have, they can realistically pop flash any of these positions. However, instead it's a dry peek, and who other than Nifty to open it up? Cutler goes down. FNS feels the urge to avenge his fallen comrade. He too will meet his demise. And Ricky, Ethan, and Kusta are the three that remain with very subpar hardware to try and do some amount of damage here for CLG.
Yeah, basically just gambling on the A push, as they're all going to end up stacking over on this site. And it could align well, actually. The Renegades are looking like they're going to go for a slow push up through short and long. But the weird thing is that CLG have like tried to push back out, so I'm curious to see how this is going to work. Not too well. As, it's just left down to Ethan, and he doesn't get anything done either, so it's a full 5-man alive round for the Renegades. And that will take us 14-13. Last real investment for CLG before Renegades are able to possibly take the lead. With this being a round as important as it is, CLG, I believe this is them anyway, are going to call for a tactical pause as they need to figure out something that will work here and prevent Renegades from being able to complete this comeback and then upsetting them.
At this point, what do you do if you're CLG? You know, this is a map that Renegades historically does not play. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. They almost always veto this map. If they don't veto this, they veto Inferno. In this series, they vetoed Inferno. They, like, going back, like I said, they've only played it a handful of times since 2015. 8 times under the Renegades brand, this team has actually played Overpass. So it's clearly not a map they like to play, but CLG is just hitting that wall, that North American CS wall. 14 rounds. How many times have we watched teams get to that point and they just struggle to get past it? If they go to cash, that's a coin flip in my opinion. Both of these teams now have taken the opponent's map. Both of these teams are running a bit of momentum coming into the opponent's map pick. You know, Renegades, they were backs against the wall. They come into this map. It's a bad map for them. If they can take it, they're really happy moving into map 3. But like, just looking at previous history on cash, I can't really pick a clear-cut winner. So if I'm CLG right now, I'm really concerned that we're going to have to see that third map play out because we are not doing well on our defense. It's got to stop here. Got to find a hold. Can't surrender a 14th round. Cannot.
Well, CLG are going to have themselves the double up setup this time, so they have that extra firepower, but they lose utility as a result of that. Only 3 smokes and 3 mollies across those that did not purchase ops. But we have to hope now the double op works out for them, and it is going to be stacked across separate sites. I mean, you'd feel at this point that they'd be able to read into the Renegades as they've been able to... Or, excuse me, I lost my train of thought for a second there. The Renegades have had like a pretty predictable pattern in terms of where they set their players. This round's a little bit different, but for the most part, they've either just been going for like these really slow plays right outside a monster, or these really slow plays like just kind of hang out in the playground and then stack it up towards short A. They haven't really varied it all that much. This round is changing up a little bit, but it's still going to end up kind of forming in the same way where they all move over towards short A at the end of the day. And that's exactly what we'll see here in a few seconds after they clear out steps and what I mean. It's a good thing CLG didn't put pressure there because they get pinched really easily. Now, Cutler and Kusta are going to be a little bit out of position, and they'll have to adjust for this because the A side is still wide open, and neither of these CTs know exactly what's sitting on the other side of that smoke currently.
I don't really see a tremendous change from CLG. Like, the setup doesn't feel that much different than what we've seen from them several rounds that we've seen play out already. Like, JKS is lurking B for Renegades. That's been the way they've played. They put presence towards water after, like the 1 minute 15 mark. There's 3 players playing on B. It's the same 3 playing doubled up on Monster Canal on both sides, and then Rickay's in pit. The only difference this time around is Rickay has an op. That's the only difference. Hopefully that's the only difference that it takes, because they're going to be pressured on B yet again, and their pit players have had a hard time stopping this one. There's Ethan to get that first kill, but he immediately goes down. FNS through the smoke gets 1. Rickay's dropped in the sight. FNS does a ton of damage, though, picking up 2 kills and dropping Azure down to 34. The clock is ticking very low. 10 seconds left, but they're able to get the bomb down. It will be a post plant, and they don't have a kit to work with in their hands as of right now. Kusta chiming in with his op. Allows Cutler to move up from Catwalk. He's putting shots down to try and bait Nifty out of position if possible, but Nifty's playing the other side of the pole. As Nifty goes out, he's taking damage through the wall. It doesn't matter. 1 versus 1, but Nifty can't get away. What a round it was, and it will be the 15th for CLG, but a costly one at that.
Oh my goodness, that was chaotic at the very end, to say the least there. Nifty ends up thinking he's safe after he finds that first kill, but then just pushes himself into the open with a knife in hand. Tries to hide his head, but it doesn't work. And he ends up losing out on that round. So 15-13. The Renegades actually will still have a better buy than CLG, though, because of the money that they were able to stock up in these last 4 rounds. So CLG are going to end up with an UMP, a FAMAS. There's a very large possibility that the Renegades could just trade this one back out and then take it to OT. We will have to find out about that in a few seconds once the Renegades actually do form up and try to push into the site.
Well, whatever it was that they did there, it clearly worked. This time around, Ricky has no op. His op presence in that site didn't seem too effective. Instead, they've moved Kusta over to this B bomb site. Ricky is going to be holding down the toxic